So now we are dealing with a budget, right? So what is a budget? A budget, it is an expected income for a projected expenditure. So we have two possible outcomes of a budget. It happens whereby our expected income is greater than the projected expenditure, and the expected income is less than the projected what? Expenditure. So if it happens that the expected income is greater than the projected expenditure, that thing is called what? A budget surplus. But if it happens that the expected income is now less than the projected expenditure, it is called what? A budget deficit. Right? So between the two, which one is good for the economy and which one is bad for the economy? So I think the one that is good for the economy is the first one, right? Which is a budget surplus, because our expected income is greater than the money that we need to spend in the future, right? So therefore, the one that is bad for the economy, it is the budget what? Deficit, right? So if the budget deficit is bad for the economy, that automatically tells us that we need to rectify it, right? So if we need to rectify it, the government creates the corrections of the budget deficit. How? By using the four lines that you see here. So the first one, it says government should increase the tax. The second one, government can borrow money from IMF, which is International Monetary Funds. And also the government can use a contractionary fiscal policy, right? And the last one, the government can sell its government bonds, right? Or the government securities, which means we are talking about the shares, right? So then we've got different types of budgets, whereby we have a national budget, we have the medium-term expenditure framework, and we have a medium-term budget policy statement, right? So what is a national budget? A national budget, it is also known as a main budget, right? That is delivered by the Minister of Finance, which is Enoch Godongwane. It is delivered during February. So what we need to know in this type of a budget is the fiscal year. It runs from which month to which month. So the fiscal year, it says it starts from 1 April to 31 March, right? So that's a main budget. Then the following one, it is a medium-term expenditure framework, which is also known as MTEF, right? So what is MTEF? It is a 3-year rolling budgeting plan that is used by the state. It is normally announced during Ubani or October. It is a 3-year rolling budget, right? So what is a medium-term budget policy statement? MTBPF. So this is a statement that contains update and revision based on MTEF. So this one, it is a statement that contains the second budget, which is called the medium-term expenditure framework. Right. So Yonaga, it is normally announced during October or November. This is what you need to know when it comes to the types of budget. So let's move straight to the fiscal policy and taxation, right? So the fiscal policy, it says what? So that when we are dealing with the fiscal policy, it's whereby we are talking about the government policy that is used to fine-tune the economy. What do we mean when we say fine-tune the economy? We mean this policy, it is used to put the economy in the right direction, right? So who regulates this policy? It is government. So we state this policy is regulated by the government, and it is monitored by the Minister of Finance. So this type of a policy, it uses the two instruments, right, which is taxation and government spending. Government expenditure or government spending, it's one and the same thing, right? So these policies, these instruments, they create the policy that is called what? Contractionary fiscal policy and expansionary fiscal policy. So what you need to know in this policy is that this policy, it is applied when, and this policy is applied when. So you will look at the situation of the economy. Let's say the economy is at the peak, right? If the economy is at the peak, what we need to do is to experience get downswing, because the economy is at the peak. So the right direction is to experience a downswing in economic activities. So what is the solution if ever the economy is already at the peak? The solution is we need to use the fiscal policy. At this case, this policy called contractionary fiscal policy, it is used when the situation of the economy is at the peak and we want to experience a downswing. So how are we going to apply it? We will look at the taxation and government expenditure or government spending. What will happen to the taxation? In this case, if the economy is at the peak, the taxation will need to be increased, right? And the government spending will need to be what? To be decreased, so that we can reduce the consumer spending, so that we can experience the downswing in the economy. So you need to know when do we apply contractionary fiscal policy. The word contractionary, it derived from the word contrast, right? So when you do remember the business cycles, the period, contractionary comes from those periods that we are dealing with in a business cycle. So now we have expansionary fiscal policy. So the word expansionary is derived from the word expand, right? So expand, it shows which is something is growing in that case. So Jonas we apply our winning. So we will apply this policy, which is called expansionary fiscal policy, when the situation of the economy is at the trough now. You understand? So if the situation of the economy is at the trough, we need to experience the upswing. So if we want to experience the upswing, how are we going to apply the expansionary fiscal policy? So we will use the expansionary fiscal policy when the economy is at the trough and we want to do the upswing. So we'll use the taxation and a government expenditure or government spending. What will happen to the level of taxation? We will need to decrease the taxation and increase government expenditure so that we can be able to experience the upswing in a business cycle. So these are the policies that you need to master when it comes to a fiscal policy and taxation. Thank you.